And then gently melt the feet out, reach the arms overhead, natural inhale. And then as you exhale, lengthen the hands and the feet apart and see if you can feel that diaphragm sucking up, hollowing out the belly as it presses into the lungs. On your next inhale, start to gently pull elbows and knees in, rolling onto the left side. That should be towards me. And notice how the inhale fills the space of the back of the ribs all the way down to that bottom rib. And then next exhale, stretch everything out. So even though you're reaching out in all directions, let the exhale help you drop into that point at the center of the heart. And then inhale, curl everything in, rolling to the other side. And we're going to repeat this for a little while so you can flow on your own, exhaling to stretch out. Try to feel the bottom rib so there's no extra arching. And then inhaling to roll onto the side. And start to slow down the movement and slow down the breath. And that actually is really strengthening. Welcome to everyone who joined a little late. Glad you're here. And this is a little different than we might be used to using our breath. So notice how inhaling in that curling up position awakens awareness in a new way. Notice how exhaling in that expansive position balances those opposites of feeling inside as you're reaching outward. And let this be an opportunity to start to melt away tension. Doesn't matter how far you go. There's no benefit to like curling in on yourself more, right? So let it be effortless. Let it be natural. Let it be soothing. The next time you come onto the back, let's pause there. Arms overhead still, and watch a couple of breaths and notice the sensation of the inhale, and imagine if you can just let the body dissolve as you inhale. No reaching, no doership. And then as you exhale, let the fingers and toes reach apart and see if you can get a little hollowness in the center of the body. You can even bring your fingertips there to feel what's happening. But I find that reaching the hands and the feet apart as I exhale is really helpful. So I would only bring your hands there at the very end of the exhale so you don't miss that opportunity. Just one or two more breaths here. Okay, we're going to add on to the rolling from side to side. So take your natural inhale. Exhale to reach out just as you did before. And then inhale, roll onto the side just like you did before. Here's where we're adding on, and it's a little weird, so be patient. So we're going to explore Ardha Chandrasana from our side. So imagine the floor is in front of you. Start to kick the left foot forward, planting your left foot on the sole or on the invisible floor beneath you. You can flex the foot, of course, because you're standing on the ground, obviously. And then push into the invisible floor and exhale to gently start to reach out. The left hand is parallel to the left leg. And then just like when you're balancing, the right hip starts to peel open, but it might not open all the way, right? Because all of our bodies are different. And then inhale back to the fetal position. And let's try a few of those pulses. Exhale into side lying Ardha Chandrasana, really working the left leg as if you were standing on the ground and letting everything else be natural. And then inhale, fetal position. Try this a few more times on your own. Let it be relaxed. You don't want to build any strain, but we want to wire this pathway in because we'll do this whole sequence standing. You don't even have to think about how that's possible. Just trust it. And the next time you curl into the fetal position, pause there. With your next exhale, we'll go back to the X on our back. and then we'll go to the other side. So inhale, roll to the other side. Exhale, kick the right foot down to the invisible floor beneath you and start to open up. Don't expect that the left hip is going to land on the floor. Instead, try to feel connected to your deep core. And then inhale back to fetal position. Exhale, side lighting, Ardha Chandrasana. Move really nice and slow and try to feel how the rest of the body stacks or unfurls with that bottom leg sticking out, right? You might notice there's a little limitation in the hips or a tendency to push a little too far, and see if you can let that go and let it be just as gentle as the rolling you were doing before. Next time you're in the fetal position, you can exhale, open up to your X onto the back. We'll take one mini Shavasana here, so let everything soften. Try to let go of everything that just happened and sink into the breath. And the exhale, you naturally soften and release. See if you can feel that as you visualize your body expanding. 2 at once. Focus deep within as you feel yourself reaching out as well. Okay, let's curl over to the left side and gently push up. Plant the hands and tuck the knees under so you're in tabletop position, and now the right side of the body should be towards me. And take a moment to paw out the mat and be really, really gentle here. Imagine, we've got a lot of invisible floors and ceilings here. Imagine that you can feel the ceiling against your back. Just like we push the bottom rib into the floor, play with pushing the bottom rib into that invisible ceiling, and just notice if you can get a little extra length in the spine without rounding, right? It's not a cat pose. If you've catted, you've gone too far. So it's really subtle. It should feel like a paralleling of the rib cage and the pelvis, and that like the tailbone and the sits bones can really reach back. From here, lower the forearms and let the hands be really soft, right? There's more weight on the elbows, so see if you can soften through the hands. Shatila, can you still hear me? Okay, cool, just checking. Make some circles over the elbows and check in with the neck and the upper shoulders. They shouldn't really not be doing any work here. So if you're feeling those muscles engage, even if it doesn't feel tight or bad, see if you can isometrically drag the elbows back towards the knees and wide towards the back corners of the mat, and notice if that helps turn on the lats and the lower traps. Circle in the opposite direction. Okay. Freeze, because I don't want you to change anything with your hands. I can't see online folks' hands perfectly, but everyone in here's hands are really supple and natural. Look at your hands and just see where they naturally are, right? It's not like the flattening starfish hands. They're almost like palming basketball hands. My guess is yours are like that too. Try to keep those soft, supple hands as you place one at a time underneath your shoulders. Right, so there's going to be more weight on the pinky side and the base of the wrist. The middle 3 knuckles are going to lift away. A little bend in your elbows. If you're not sure, come down to the forearms, look again, and try again. And then when you think you've done it, it should feel really nice. It should feel really supportive. We'll awaken our deep core with some table glide back. So flatten the tops of the feet down. Take a moment to find that bottom rib, find your breath, and use your next exhale to drag the right foot back without moving anything else in the body. Inhale, bring the knee in, and exhale, glide the foot back effortlessly. Do this a few times and see how gentle you can make it. The easier it feels, the more the deep core is working. Go figure, right? It goes against everything we think. The next time the leg slides back, pause there, tuck the right toes under, shift the weight into the soft right hand just as it was before. Circle the left fingertips forward, up, and back. And as the arm starts to circle down, thread it between the right hand and the right arm. Bring the shoulder down. Push into the bottom arm. Bring right hand to left hand, and then gently start to stack the top leg. And tuck your shirt in if you feel like you need that. You're not all being recorded, but I feel like I need to do that. And then set the top foot down, place top hand in front of the face, and go right back into that arm circle. And then right back into the thread the needle stack, and move at your own pace, just playing between those two shapes. Try moving slower. Try moving more fluidly. And start to play with exhaling as you lift the top leg. And see if you can feel the diaphragm lifting into the rib cage, pulling on the top of the psoas as the leg reaches out. The next time you're in this sort of fallen Ardha Chandrasana, I hope that never happens in real life. Set the toes down. Place the right hand in front of the face and gently, go back into the spiral. I forgot about my most favorite part of this whole sequence. Circle the arm back and down just like you did before, but this time as the left hand comes down underneath the shoulder, effortlessly glide the left foot back into like the sweetest plank you've ever done in your life. And just pause there and gently sway hips from side to side. Paw out the mat a little bit and see if you can release any gripping so it feels effortless. And then from center, drop knees, hips to heels, palms face up, forehead melt. If this isn't comfortable and restful, you can try cat pose or whatever you want. With the palms face up, imagine that you're really receptive here. And if there's any grace flowing in this moment, you're present and available to catch it and receive it. And let's float back up to table and do that on the second side. First, begin by finding those soft hands. So if it's helpful to bring the forearms down first, you're welcome to do that. Gentle sways can help, little pause. And it's just like palming a basketball. So there really is a lot of space underneath the hand, just like you have an arch in your hand, like you have an arch in your foot. And you do. So let's use it. Find the bottom rib, neutral spine, neutral pelvis, and then use your exhale to glide effortlessly left foot back. And then inhale it in. If you feel a lot of shifting in the hips, do less. Move slower. We don't want big muscles overcompensating here. We really want to call on our deepest core muscles. Feels like a turning on a light in the navel. The next time the toe comes back, tuck the toes under, shift the weight over into your left paw, and circle right arm up and back. Nice circle, and then it threads through, shoulder down. You know the drill. We've done this for a few weeks now, so open up. The hands can do whatever they want. I like stacking them and pressing them together. You can do the circuit hands from last week or keep the left hand in front of you, and then we go back to circling the other way. And this is sort of an exploration on your own, as smooth as possible, so the two shapes just bleed into one another. Become extra conscious in the fallen Ardha Chandrasana and notice the sensation in the hips, that stacking sensation. Notice the little wobbles as the standing leg tries to balance you. Try to relax into that, feeling supported and safe. Doesn't matter how high that top leg lifts, just let it go where it naturally wants to go, not where the mind wants to put it. The next time the right arm is circling up and back, we'll take that right into our effortless plank. So as it comes down, almost feel the right hand gliding forward and let the right leg glide back evenly. Pause in plank. Can place the knees down at any time if that feels kind to your body. Springy in the elbows. And then knees down, melt the hips to the heels, forehead to mat, palms up, and just receive whatever is available to you in this moment without any expectation or judgment. Float up to table. I apologize, I never told you to hit play on the first track, but now you can hit play on the second track if you want to. That was just extra meditative silent. You can keep it silent. Feel free to grab a sip of water. My body's asking me to do that. Okay. From tabletop, if they're not already, tuck your toes under and start to explore the feet a little bit by circling the hips towards the heels. And notice the more the hips come towards the heels, the more the feet stretch. You don't want there to be any pain in the big toes, so be really kind and receptive. Circle the other way. And then bring the hips all the way to the heels. Walk the hands in towards the knees until you can pop the knees up and balance like a little eggy. Let the tailbone drop so the low back is nice and long. Take one moment here. If you feel up for it, you can play with a little balance. There will be some quivering in the toes and the ankles, and try to relax into it and actually appreciate it. And then melt the hands down. Float the hips up, deep bend in the knees, soft spine. If it's inviting, sway the hips from side to side and see if you can release through the muscles in the low back. And then anchor the big toes, shift the weight back into the heels, squat the hips down a little bit, and then slowly start to imagine sending the hips forward. Actually send the hips forward and notice how that enlivens the legs and starts to stack the spine. One vertebra at a time, little extra awareness on that bottom rib vertebra. Notice when it stacks. Let the head and neck come up last, but try to feel very supported through the neck so there's no strain. And let's just pause at standing and take in the experience for a moment.